Welcome to Soft Talk. Today's presentation is titled The Lemon Squeeze and the Perils of an Import-Driven Economy. Coincidentally, as I start this presentation, the price of lemon in Kathmandu has surged to 500 rupees per kg. This is not just about the price of lemon. This is about escalating market prices in the wake of the standoff between Russia and Ukraine. Without further ado, let me start this presentation. Drinking warm water lemon early in the morning appears to be an in thing these days. Many people take it as the first thing in the morning, that is for the sake of good health and fitness. This fad gives rise to queries galore. A number of queries about the demographics of the drinkers, the amount of honey, lemon, and water used in an average household per day, about prevailing perceptions about the hot drink, etc., etc. Regrettably, yet understandably, a cursory search for data on regular warm lemon water drinkers in the Kathmandu Valley yielded nothing quantifiable. As for the health benefits of this drink, let qualified nutritionists, dietitians, public health experts initiate a long and engaging conversation with members of the public, interested members of the public. Those members include sports persons, fitness freaks, and wellness enthusiasts. For now, let's look into the ingredients of warm lemon water and try to read deeper into the state of the national economy. Let the lemon come first. Between mid-July 2021 and mid-March 2022, the import of lemons, it totaled 78 lakhs 57,878 kgs. That's a whopping sum for a country that relies on a number of imports. This, this quantity of lemon, that is 78 lakhs 57,878 kgs of lemon costed 60 crores, 23 lakh and 61,000 Nepali rupees. That is as per data from the Department of Customs of Nepal. Interestingly, an RSS report with the byline of Rajaram Kharki, that report is titled Nepal imports fruits worth around 7 billion rupees in 7 months. That report points, that report estimates that Nepali farmers could fetch as much as 1 million rupees annually from that is lemon farming across 13 ropanis of land. That report was published in nepallive.today.com on March 19, 2022. The report dwells quite a bit on Nepal's latent lemon potential. It gives rise to hope that this country, with a little bit of planning and execution rather than talks only, could easily turn into the proverbial land of milk and lemon. Sorry, that is milk and honey. That was a slip of tongue. That report points that Nepal exported to India a paltry 50,980 kgs of citrus fruits with the total value of 6 lakh 3,000 during the reporting period, while the export was like astronomical. I mean, the import figures were astronomical. Let our lemon potential not remain on paper for far too long. Let it enable one, the consumers to make lemonade, lemon tea, warm water lemon, lemon pickles, or whatever and whenever they want. Let it enable the farmers, the middlemen, the transporters, and the manufacturers of lime based products and all others in the supply chain a tidy profit. And number three, uh, let local, provincial, and federal governments collect enough taxes, that is, let it enable the local, provincial, and federal governments to collect enough taxes, that is, without squeezing small farmers and consumers too hard, like they do with the lemon, like they squeeze the lemon while making things like tea, hot lemon, lemonade. In difficult times like these, when incomes have gone down, jobs are hard to find or retain, and market prices have been heading northwards in a fossil fuel powered, I would call it fossil fuel constrained economy, these governments should desist from squeezing the public like lemons. They should instead give the public some reprieve. Now, let's not engage in this sour talk only. Let's sweeten this sour, this bitter talk with a little bit of precious honey. Let government data do a bit of talking. Between mid-July 2021 and mid-March 2022, Nepal imported 10 lakh 70,522 kgs of processed natural honey worth 21 crore 69 lakh 98,000. That is as per the Department of Customs statistics. That's a hoping sum, isn't it? The natural honey worth 21 crore 69 lakh 98,000 Nepali rupees was imported between mid-July 2021 and mid-March 2022. It's not that Nepal did not export honey during the reporting period. It did, but the amount was paltry. It exported 13,971 kgs of honey worth 2 crore 64,000 rupees. That's a yawning import export gap in a country with a huge potential for beekeeping and honey production. Isn't it? It sure is. This obviously leaves us with water, which Nepal has in abundance, supposedly. But this quote unquote abundance of water in water bodies like rivers, lakes, springs, falls, and mountains is one thing, while having plenty of water running through your taps is a different thing altogether. Besides, while singing pains about our bountiful water resources, there is a tendency to easily forget about factors like climate change and the existence of water regulatory structures built unilaterally, built unilaterally to channelize waters across the border during the dry season and flood or inundate Nepal's grain basket, that is, the southern plains, during the wet season. With public taps running dry most of the times in densely populated cities, this abundance of water rhetoric sounds all too hollow. Stories of women and children from the hinterlands having to trek for hours to fetch pitchers full of water make a mockery of our water fortunes. Moving on, let's talk about bijli, that is electricity or gas, without which the lemon beverage of your choice won't come into fruition. Again, Nepal has a huge potential for the generation of green energy, that is the hydroelectricity, that is the hydropower. Estimates vary and may not be that reliable, what with climate change and the lack of hydrological data, but there's no dearth of experts who believe that Nepal's hydropower can light the whole of South Asia. They conveniently forget, these experts conveniently forget the carrying capacity of a country located on a seismic fault zone, the impact of hydels on the environment and livelihoods, the quote unquote huge potential notwithstanding. Nepal's hydropower generation stands at around 1800 megawatts. That is barely enough to meet suppressed demands for energy in an agrarian country devoid of electric mass transit systems, large goods and services industries and factories, etc. etc. The scenario is such that while Nepal exports the green energy at dirt cheap rates, around that comes to around 4 rupees per unit. During the wet season, it imports dirty power produced from India's coal-fired plants at whopping rates for want of storage type projects for domestic consumption. Recent media reports have it that Nepal is making preps to import power from India at the rate of a whopping 38 rupees per unit, while it exports hydroelectricity at the rate of 4 rupees per unit. It is preparing to import uh, power at the cost of 38 rupees per unit. That's a yawning gap in the rates of power. A couple of hurdles are in the pipeline, but we are already talking big about exporting the green energy in the immediate neighborhood like India and Bangladesh, instead of building capacity to utilize the raw energy within the country. Remember, utilizing this green energy within the country brings about multiplier effects to the ailing national economy. Call it a paradox of development. a water resource rich country goes for the construction of pipelines. I mean the petroleum pipeline. I'm talking about the 69-kilometer Motihari Amlekganj pipeline and its planned extension up to Chitwan and then possibly to Kathmandu. It goes for the construction of a pipeline for the resource, water resource rich country goes for the construction of a pipeline to import petroleum products from across the border. uh, that is having a huge environmental impact. This uh, fossil fuel is a major cause of pollution around the world, and it goes for this construction of cross-border transmission lines for the export of green energy for a pittance. This hot lemon model, this hot lemon model I am talking about is symptomatic of our heavy reliance on imports to run our daily lives. We import virtually everything, including hydropower and lemons, of course. Back to the data from the Department of Customs. In the first 8 months of fiscal year 2077-78, Nepal's imports totaled 9 trillion 43 billion 8 crore 82 lakh and 50,000 rupees, whereas the figure stood at 13 trillion 8 billion 73 crore. Just a minute. I was running out of this charge. The laptop was almost running dry. Back to the data. I was talking about the data from the Department of Customs. In the first 8 months of fiscal year 2077-78, Nepal's imports totaled 9 trillion 43 billion 8 crore 82 lakh and 50,000 rupees. I am just almost running out of breath while talking about imports. We import almost everything, whereas the import figures stood at 13 trillion 8 billion 73 crore 48 lakh and 56,000 rupees. That is quite astronomical, isn't it? In the corresponding period of the fiscal year 2078 2079, that was a change of 38.64% compared to the fiscal year 2077 and 78. The economy is not doing well. The national economy is in dire straits and the imports have surged. That is pushing the national economy into a deeper crisis. At the same time, exports totaled 80 billion 77 crores and 88 lakh 61,000 rupees in the first 8 months of the fiscal 2077-78, whereas the figures stood at 1 trillion 47 billion 74 crores 60 lakh and 66,000. These are huge numbers, and I'm just finding it hard to just present them. I'm not that good at the mathematics, so just please bear with me. And during the reporting during the corresponding period of the fiscal year 2078 and 79, that was an increase of 82.90%. Let me just read it out again. Exports totaled 80 billion 77 crore 88 lakh 61,000 rupees in the first 8 months of the fiscal 2077-78, whereas the export figures stood at 1 trillion 47 billion 74 crores 60 lakh and 66,000 during the corresponding period of the fiscal 2078-79. The exports also increased by 82.90%, but this import-export gap is still huge. Trade deficit, which was at 8 trillion 63 billion 20 crore 93 lakh and 89,000. I'm getting better at maths, I guess. In the first 8 months of 2077-78, they ballooned to 11 trillion 60 billion 98 crore and 87 lakh and 90,000 rupees. They ballooned. The trade deficit ballooned to 11 trillion. The trade deficit ballooned to 11 trillion 60 billion 98 crore 87 lakh and 90,000 rupees during the corresponding period of the fiscal 2078-79, with national financial resources squeezed like the lemon while making warm water lemon and other lemon based drinks. Hard times are ahead for Nepal, especially in view of rising oil prices and subsequent market prices in the wake of the Russia-NATO tensions over Ukraine. This tension threatens to split the world into two camps. These prices are likely to rise further as political parties may seek donations from business. These political parties may seek donations from businesses and industries, and the latter may not hesitate to build a gullible customer in return. These political parties are just preparing for elections, and that's why they may seek donations from businesses and industries, and these businesses and industries, while giving away donations to these parties, may bill the public in return. That is my point. Summing up, the sooner the state and the public realize the perils of a largely import driven economy, the better it will be for the country and the people and the economy. With this note, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk. I request you to support citizen journalism instead of opting for this corporate journalism. Thank you for watching. Uh, Thank you for listening. I'm appealing because we stand for your interest. We have no vested interest. Your interests are ours because we all are members of the public. So I request you to like, subscribe, and comment on my presentation. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.